You're listening to the Ottawa Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by Referral Mortgages and Blue Panda Realty, with your hosts, Paul Stevenson, David Warren, and Greg Campbell. Let's see what's going on in the world of real estate in our nation's capital.
Welcome, everybody.
Live.
It is the Ottawa Real Estate Podcast. You're here. We're here. I'm Paul Stevenson. I'm here with Greg Campbell and David Warren. I am one of the owners of Referral Mortgages here in Ottawa. I'm a mortgage agent, mortgage broker. Greg Campbell is a partner at Blue Panda Realty and a birthday boy, man. And David Warren is my partner over at Referral Mortgages and also an expert mortgage agent. Gentlemen, how was the week? How's it going? How are we doing?
I think we need to start off with a big happy birthday to Mr. Campbell on this beautiful Friday, the 21st.
It's my birthday, the 21st of May every year.
It just keeps coming. Yeah, every time.
Yeah, I'll tell you a funny story. So last night I'm out with the kids. I'm on my skateboard. One's on a scooter, one's on a bicycle. Daddy's coming home. It's about 8:00. Daddy does a little move. Daddy ends up on his ass. Big bail. Shoulder, elbow, hands, hip, knee. Wow. I got up immediately like a pro. And then I was just like, man, I'm like, that really, really hurt. So, I think I talked to my buddy after and he's like, dude, just get a longboard, man. He's like, we can't do that shit anymore. I'm like, but I want to.
You're not Tony Hawk.
No, definitely not. Never was.
I spent a good hour with my youngest son at Dow's Lake last weekend. There was probably 10 skaters doing full out, huge video cameras, full YouTube style. And we watched them for an hour. And there was two guys. One was trying to basically ride the rail down, and the other guy was coming from the bottom and basically riding the rail up. And they were recording it. Not one of them landed their trick once, but it was mesmerizing. Like I just sat there and we were just like in awe of the effort even. And they were so goddamn resilient. It was inspiring almost how resilient. And they're just like, fuck it, let's go again.
Yeah, let's be honest. You were waiting for some big crashes. That's what you were waiting for.
I wanted to see them landed. I wanted to see them landed.
Some bails.
And that's the crazy thing. It's like for every trick that's landed, like the guys that do the contests and you see them do a line and they just don't bail, like those guys are wizards. Yeah. When I think of being younger, there was this set of stairs at the what's the Sportsplex? New Orleans Sportsplex? What's it called now?
Oh, Bob McQuarrie.
Bob McQuarrie. Yeah. So there's the two sets of stairs there, right? So we used to ollie down the first set and the second set, and just to get
no helmets, obviously,
effort, like sliding down steps on your hip, and then getting up, taking a short break, and then doing it again.
And Greg wonders why he has hip issues at the right age of 40.
And the thing is that when you do it once, you're kind of like, great, I did it. And then you don't really care to do it again because you just don't want to go through you
broke your body leading
nightmare.
up to that one. Leading up to it once, you broke your body in many places.
And back then there was no video. So it was just pride, just straight pride. Yeah. That's amazing.
It was. You were lucky to get a photo taken.
I noticed you had the cold brew there, Greg. I wanted to just remind everyone and kind of give a shout out to North Brew. So North Brew is our new coffee partner. So anyone listening to the show right now, if you go to northbrew.ca, you get 20% off all coffee orders. Just use the code word podcast. And there you go, 20% off. Enjoy a coffee. Enjoy coffee.
Enjoy the coffee. Yeah, and we're gonna be getting a little bit more elaborate. We got our mugs coming soon, right, guys? And the shirts, they didn't come in yesterday. I thought they were, and they're coming this week. And then we'll have our little shop up, and we'll get some action from James. Maybe we'll have to have James as a quick 5-minute guest on the show, just so they.
Yeah, I think it would be good to have him on, explain what they're doing over there. I know we kind of alluded to it last week, but he'll be able to say it a lot better than we can.
I just picked up 2 more boxes of this. I love this shit. I'm addicted. It's the best cold brew I've ever had.
That's awesome. Yeah. So big news yesterday. Speaking of cold brew, stress test. It's all the
Great
rage.
Transition. Right. Great transition.
I just had to tell 2 clients about it this morning. So I said, call your broker right away.
So here's the headline. Here's the clickbait. Every pre-approval in Canada right now needs to get pre-approved. if you're buying after June 1st.
Every pre-approval is useless.
Yeah.
Thanks, government.
So this is a statement that was released by the Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Finance. So let me see here. I'm going to bring it up on my own screen just because it'll be easier for me to read it. So I figured this would be the easiest way to get the message across to everyone as to what's happening. And then we can just kind of chat to it. So let me see here. There it is. Okay. So for anyone who doesn't know what happened, basically, even when we're basically reviewing files or pre-approving clients, we have to, even though your actual rate on the mortgage might be, say, 1.5%, we have to qualify you as if your rate was much, much higher than that. That's kind of the stress test that everyone was talking about years ago. So what they've done is they've increased the stress test rate. So the rate that we have to qualify clients, they're going to be increasing it to 5.25% as of June 1st. So originally they were planning to only do it for conventional mortgages, but now they're doing it for insured too. So even if you're putting 5% down, you're a first-time home buyer, you're now going to be subject to this new stress test as well. So this is what it says. It says, earlier today, the Office of the Superintendent of Financial Institutions, OSFI, announced that effective June 1st, it will implement a new minimum qualifying rate for all uninsured mortgages. For many Canadians, the most important investment they will ever make is a purchase of a home. Increasingly, however, that dream is becoming unaffordable and unattainable. The recent and rapid rise in house prices is squeezing middle-class Canadians across the entire country and raises concerns about the stability of the overall market. I'm going to scroll down here and just kind of give some Cole's notes. So it says, with today's official confirmation from OSFI of the new minimum qualifying rate for uninsured mortgages, the federal government will align with OSFI by establishing a new minimum qualifying rate for insured mortgages, subject to review and periodic adjustment, which will be the greater of the borrower's mortgage contract rate plus 2%. So I was saying, if your rate is 1.5%, they're saying it'll either be 2% over that, so 3.5%, or 5.25%. So clearly 5.25% is the greater of. This will apply to insured mortgages approved on June 1st or later. So what that means is basically anyone that's buying a home that signs a contract after June 1st is now going to have to qualify under these new guidelines.
Yeah. So any of you that purchased a new build, let's say, this past year or 2 years ago, and you're waiting for closing, you would qualify under the previous qualifying rate. So that's something to keep in mind. If you do have a purchase agreement already signed, then you're in the clear. But as Paul said, they were targeting this, and all the verbiage and information that's been out there, and we talked about it several weeks ago, was all based on conventional. So meaning putting 20% down or more. And as of yesterday, they just sprung it up 9 days before or 10 days before that. Now it's being pushed to insured mortgages, less than 20% as well. I personally find it an ironic sentiment in the first paragraph of that article, saying that the middle class is getting squeezed out of home ownership and affordability, yet they're then increasing the way in which those people are being qualified for a mortgage. So making it harder for them to actually qualify to buy the home. You would think they'd actually, maybe have a sliding scale based on income or based on your down payment or what have you, to help make that more affordable, bring other programs in. But really, to Paul's point, if you've been pre-approved, you're out.
Dave's in the Matrix.
Dave's in the Matrix.
Am I?
You're back. You're back.
Back.
Yeah. So we kind of did some calculations when they are announcing about conventional mortgages, and it will decrease your buying power by about 4%. Now, is that going to make or break the market? No, I think it'll definitely slow it down. But to Dave's point, if you're a first-time home buyer, and especially with the way the market is currently, if you've been saving for 3-4 years, you're about to get into the market, and now instead of say 500,000. Your buying power is lowering to say 460, 470. That difference I think it's going to balance the market out for sure. But my fear, and this isn't for sure, but my fear is that the people that do have the money and the investors that do have the money to get those properties are just going to come in and swoop those properties up even more so now, because the people that would be buying those starter homes are going to qualify for less and maybe not be able to compete any longer with those investors or those kind of foreign buyers. So there's a few other things they're bringing in, but that's my only fear. I think otherwise, from the stress test itself is like, look, it's 4%. The stress test is 4% over what rates are at.
Yeah.
Like your contract is 1.5, and we're qualifying you at 5.25.
Which I think is great long term, because what does it look like in 5 years, right? I mean, we hope that the rates are going to stay low, but in 5 years, it's great, because if you have to qualify for a mortgage at 5%, you've already been qualified at that last 5 years, even though you've been paying less. So, I mean, in that respect, I see it as beneficial.
Something for people to realize as well is that the qualifying rate that's being used right now, 4.79, has come down. At the end of 2019, it was actually 5.04 and has been as high as 5.14. That benchmark rate that's used for stress tests is based on the top 6 banks' average 5-year posted rate across the board. So it does fluctuate anyways, and it's only come down this past, since basically the pandemic hit, when mortgage rates decreased, that it came down from 504, which it was last February, in February 2020, to where it is now 479. But with all these changes, and we saw it in 2018 when they brought their stress test in, and we saw it even prior to that with other changes, when they went from a 40-year amortization to 35 to 30, and they went from 0% down to 5% down. The market's resilient. People want, in Canada, we have one of the highest home ownership rates. People want to own property, and people will still find a way to own that home, whether it's partnering up with a friend, with a family member to co-sign. That's my general feeling. It's every time that we've thought, or they've done something that's to cool it off, it hasn't, had that same ripple, hasn't had that effect.
I just posted some of the other. Oh, go ahead, Greg.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say there's a few other things that they mentioned in the article that I found interesting, because they are pumping it up, and there's definitely there should be some asterisks on some of these points. So one of the things they said is that over $70 billion in the National Housing Strategy launched in 2017, that will support the construction of up to 125,000 affordable homes and increase Canada's housing supply. But I know, Dave, you've mentioned this in the past. Affordable homes, at least by definition, is based on the neighborhood that they're built in, right? Mm-hmm. So they use the average income of people in that neighborhood. So, for example, there's a high rise going in on Preston that's affordable housing, and the average income around the hospital and so on is in the 6-figure range, double 6-figure, probably 200,000 household income. So affordable housing in that neighborhood is $2,500 to $3,000 in rent. I mean, that's not affordable for the majority of the population as far as a rental cost.
It's when it's a Gluckstein designed, interior units with granite. I don't know that that's, how you would consider that affordable housing. And, but it looks like a nice building.
and then the other thing, which I think is, it could be good if they loosened up the restrictions, but the first time homebuyer incentive, which I know we've talked about ad nauseum, Dave, recently, is just, it's basically a program where the government will. Well, it says first-time homebuyer incentive, which reduces a first-time homebuyer's mortgage payment to make buying a home more affordable. The government recently expanded access to the support to make sure more middle-class Canadians in Toronto, Vancouver, and Victoria, who live in Canada's most expensive housing markets, can benefit from this support. So this is a program I think we've talked about on the show before, but I'll give the Coles notes. The program basically allows the government will basically lend you up to 10%, 5 to 10%, to put towards the down payment on your home, but they actually have a stake in your property. They own 5%. Mm-hmm. They have a 5% ownership component to the property. And what happens is when you refinance or when you sell that home, you basically have to repay them that 5%. So if your home goes up in value, you owe them technically more money because you owe them 5% of whatever your home is worth. And if the house goes down, then again, you would, I don't want to say benefit, but you would owe them less because the home value goes down. So, they have very strict requirements for this program. The household income can't be over 120,000. You can't buy a home for more than 4 times your income. So there's a lot of kind of asterisks on that. And, I think we talked about the fact that I think they had $1 billion allotted to this, and only
1.25.
Yeah, 1.25 billion. And I think only 17 million had been touched. It's a program that sounds great, but very few people qualify.
It's textbook definition of a racket. It's racketeering.
Yeah. I mean, it's
bananas.
Yeah. The program has so many asterisks, and, and to Paul's point, so many people don't qualify for this because they, number one, like household income is maybe higher than the threshold, or price of homes of what they would need would be higher than that, because under this program they would get more. There are some benefits to it: less more monthly payments, less mortgage default insurance. There are actual true cost savings associated, but a lot of people do not want to be sharing in the in a rising home price market to be guaranteeing the government additional returns on their investment, if you will.
And if they're going to do that, then they should allow the general public too. If I want to lend Greg 5% and be an investor in his property, then I should also be able to do that, and just have the same agreement across the board. Personal opinion. That would stimulate the housing market. You let people get private funding for down payment,
There is also, though, I know we were talking about it last night. That article or another one, it also talks about the institution of the vacancy tax.
Yeah, that I very much agree with.
Which I think is great.
So
that starts January 1st, right?
Yeah, I'm going to just, I'll find the actual quote. It says, on January 1st, 2022, our government will introduce Canada's first national tax on vacant property owned by non-resident or non-Canadians. Houses should not be passive investment vehicles for offshore money. They should be homes for Canadian families.
This has been around in Vancouver for, I think, a few years now. And I think we're all in alignment. I think it is a good thing. As you said, property shouldn't remain vacant. I believe, Greg, you might know this from being BC based, but I think the vacancy tax in Vancouver is 1% of the annual value. If it's left to remain vacant, like the assessed value, you're paying 1% of that value annually for foreign buyers. So I don't know. I think it's the same that they're instituting across the board nationally, but I think
it's not really enough. It's good, but it's not really enough to do anything. That's the problem, right?
So I actually have a friend that moved back to Vancouver recently, and he was renting a home, a massive home on the water, for less than what the property tax is. The rent is less than what the property taxes are monthly, simply so that the owner is not paying that vacancy tax. But it is providing a home for him and his friend. It's a huge home. It's a completely run down, basically. But the buyers are foreign, and it was vacant. But when this tax came in, they just started renting it out, and just
interesting
low rents, just so they could say it's being rented out. And he said it literally doesn't cover the property tax, which is kind of funny.
I was just to shift gears here, but I was talking to one of our friends out east who's a realtor as well out there, and he was just saying that he is kind of dumbfounded by the amount of people migrating out east from Ontario and Quebec. He said probably 30 to 40% of the buyers are coming from outside of the province.
Yeah,
which I thought was very interesting. Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. He's like, for the $1,500 plane ticket it costs to get out here, you stay there for 6 months and you can get a home literally on the ocean for $400,000. Like basically a dream home that would get you a starter townhome in Ottawa is basically a forever home vacation, Malibu estate on the east coast of Canada.
I'm interested to see how these smaller provinces or like New Brunswick and things like that, if the trend continues after things do lift and companies, whether they are going to start getting people back into the office or not, because a lot of these people are just working remotely, and whether that shift is going to be permanent for a lot of these companies, or if they're then going to be selling in 4 years or 3 years and having to move back. I'm curious to see how that transitions, but only time will tell, I guess, with that. But I know in that's in Fredericton that Fred Jeremy's in. That's a realtor there. He was saying that they're seeing multi-offers on properties like crazy, no conditions, kind of going through the same thing we're going through and have been going through for a while. But it's something that's so unique for New Brunswick.
He did say something that I didn't know existed out there. He said that they have, I can't remember what the exact term is, but you basically give a range. So you say, we're willing to give between 570 and 600. So you almost have like a range for your offer. Have you heard of that, Greg?
That's
he said it was
crazy.
outlowed in BC and Ontario and some other provinces.
That seems insane. Like,
yeah, he said, so you get like 10 offers.
The sellers, well, we'll take the 600.
Yeah. So he said there's just a lot of inexperienced realtors that, again, aren't having the proper conversations. And he said the offers coming in are just like wild. Like just there's just such a wide range of, you see people that kind of know how to position it, and you see other people that are just not using it either to their advantage, or they're abusing it, or they're just not doing well by their clients. Like it's a very, I wish I could remember the name of what it was. I don't know if Jeremy's listening, but if you are, feel free to throw it in the comments. I have another bone to pick with a builder in the city. I won't name names, but
go for it.
Well, we talked about it. I shouldn't say it's a bone, but the saga continues. So we had a client that is buying, same one, didn't have the Schedule A few weeks ago. And we were just reiterating that we needed the signed agreement. So he sent me the purchase agreement that basically we need it with the HST included, so that the lender can lend on the full amount, not just the purchase price purchase price without the taxes. So we asked him for that, and he sent me a copy unsigned. But I said, this is exactly what I need. If you can just get me the signed copy, that would be much appreciated. And he forwarded me an email from the builder that said, we don't issue those signed agreements until 2 months before closing. So he doesn't have a signed agreement with the accurate purchase price yet. Supposed to close June 24th, got pushed to September, and still doesn't have a signed agreement. He says since he started the process, the home has increased by $200,000. Now there might be some add-ons and there's things included in that, but worrisome.
I don't even understand how that should be press worthy.
Yeah. I think they have an older signed agreement, but it's not the one with it's the price has changed since they signed that, and they haven't issued a new agreement yet.
It's wild.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like Greg going out with a client to buy a home, and the seller saying, yeah, okay, you sign it, we'll take that, and not actually, but it's not a fully executed contract, like agreement.
Yeah.
I think that
just leave the price open. I'll fill that in later. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Just sign here and we'll fill in the price later.
Trust us.
We accept.
Just trust us.
Why would we not do well by you? Greg, maybe this might be a good opportunity actually. On top of this whole saga, I mean, maybe just tell some of the listeners the benefits of working with yourself when dealing with a builder. Cause I think there's a lot of people that are excited. They want to go out shopping. They see a new build, they see a sales center, and they walk in there. And as soon as you walk in that door, you're basically at the mercy of the builder, right? You can no longer bring in an agent at that point. So maybe if you want to just touch on the benefits of working with someone like yourself to look at those properties from day one, as opposed to, walking in there and then backtracking and realizing that you have no recourse.
Yeah. The biggest thing here, and it's changed a lot recently just because you can't really, I'm the first to admit it, like our value right now to people buying new builds is not what it was before, because there's nothing that we can do. And, you're totally at the mercy of the builder. You walk in, or you win the lottery, and they're like, here's the contract. You can't change anything. Mm-hmm. You send it to your lawyer's uncertain about something. They're like, doesn't matter. We'll sell it to the next person in the lottery. Yeah. So that's, and I just went through it. I couldn't believe it. A client of mine actually got picked. He got a new Tamarack at Cardinal Creek, great property, similar to mine. And, but there were certain things that were already picked out, and, it was like, it's this house with this design. Can we change it? You can't change it. The city planning, it's all done. It's done.
So the lot is pre-assigned.
The lot is assigned. The house is assigned. The floor plan inside the house, like you can't even choose like the alternate floor plan option. Wow. He wanted to maybe get the one with the loft instead of and move around the laundry room. Couldn't do it.
Take it or leave it.
We even called, and this is like the sale. We asked the sales office. We even called the builder direct because we have a contact. Couldn't change anything. So he was like, "Well, what do I do?" I'm like, "Dude, you take the fucking house." I'm like, "You wanted a new build." I'm like, "You just won a lottery. There was probably 500 other people trying to get the house." I'm like, if you want the new build, you take it. I'm like, I can't tell you anything else. If there's something you don't like, I mean, you talk to them, talk to the design center, seeing what you can change, seeing what you can add on, but you can't change the floor plan. You can't change where it is. There's no choice. I'm like, that's what it is. And I mean, whatever, that's just how it is right now. The time will change again when our value comes into play. Like I used to always go in and at the sales center, I would look, and the biggest question, I'm like, where's the utilities? Where's the fire hydrant? Where's that? Do you care if that electrical box is on your lawn? And some people are like, oh yeah, I don't want that box on the lawn. So it's like, okay, well then you're not going to look at this lot that you really liked because that's where the box is. Mm-hmm. Just things like that, and just reviewing the contract and making sure that you're aligning them with a lawyer that has experience in new builds that you can send the contract to right away during the conditional period, and just review it just to make sure. But that's the thing. There's not a lot that you can change, and that's just the way that it's structured.
But I still feel it's still valuable to have a realtor to help you through the process, because it is daunting, and I think something that people also don't realize is correct me if I'm wrong, that the sales centers can use sales tactics on people, right? Or they're not governed by the same body or follow the same like pressure tactics and things like that.
Yeah. And that's the pressure tactic thing is, not all builders not all sales offices for builders are the same. I have a few that, I love working with. But there are some that will do that. It's always like what do you think? Do you want to sign? We have somebody else coming in after you. They're looking at the same lot and the same model. We can't hold it for you based on that. We know that they're coming in to look at us, and and we have calls booked for tomorrow too. So if you want to do this, you're going to have to sign off on this today. And then they'll say, of course, you do have your conditional period to show your lawyer, but they want to do that today, and half the time they want a small check for that day. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's sales, right? But that's true. Cause the minute that I sense pressure, I'm just like, get the fuck out of here. I'm like pressure on buying a house. Are you kidding me? That's like the worst thing in the world that anyone can do to anyone. Biggest purchase ever. Like, I mean, forget about it. If that ever, like, I've had calls going like, I'm at the sales office and like this, I'm like, get out of there. Like, just get out of there. Like, I'll call them. And then I call my client was in there. They felt like this, and and then they'll say, oh, "Okay, no, it's good. You can represent them still, even though they went in after the fact." Like sometimes, I mean, that what I'm talking about was a long time ago too. Most relationships I've built now, it's like anyone I'm working with knows. I'm like, don't sign anything until you talk to me and let me sign it for you to start, right? But it exists.
And there's and something that you touched on as well, again, you're not able to change the contracts right now or have the same sort of design flexibility. But there are questions that to ask that somebody going in that has never bought a new build before doesn't know to ask. Like, is there what are the trees? What's the landscaping like? What's, is there an electrical box? Is there a hydro pole? Yeah. Like, where do the neighbors sit? Is there other developments starting behind? And these are things when you're getting pressured, like you said, to buy and sign on the dotted line that minute because Joe is behind you. You're not asking these questions. You're thinking about it.
For example, I did go into Richcraft with a buddy of mine. I think it was in December, maybe. And there was more of it. There was actually some options, and that exact thing happened. We're looking at the lot, and he had this lot in mind. And I'm like, dude, you're right at the entry to the whole development, and you're on what's going to be a pretty busy corner. And he's like, I didn't even think about that. I'm like, you got this one over here that backs on the school park, man. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that wouldn't bother me. I go, and then you've got no neighbors behind you. I go, think about it. I mean, even if the kids are at recess, it's during the week. There's nothing there on the weekend. Summer, you've got nothing, but neighbors playing in the park, maybe. He's like, holy shit, you're right. And and then that one ended up having an electrical box, but he chose the box to have the lot backing on the school, right? Before that, he was like, at this lot, he was like, no, I want this lot. And I'm like, dude, I would never buy this lot. So exactly to your point, like we do have value when it comes to that. People just they get excited, right? And it's like, this is what we have available. And then it's like, they don't even ask, what else do you have sometimes?
Well, think about
that's it.
Think about going in to buy a new car, right? If someone's trying to pressure you to get the 2021 when you're looking for the 2018, like you feel uncomfortable. And this is that times 10 to 20 times as far as value, in those situations, you don't have anyone representing you, but I feel like that's an equivalent, except the purchase is that much bigger. Like the sales center, they just want to sell you the house. They're not technically, they don't really care if you genuinely like the lot or if the lot's actually great. I would assume. But for someone like yourself, Greg, who is going in there, like your only goal is to look out for the client's best interest and to make sure that they are getting what they're actually paying for. And sometimes it is better to wait, now or never is never a good, it never puts you in a good position as a buyer if it's a now or never situation.
No.
That's a terrible leverage,
Yeah.
It's
also amazing.
It's also a property that might not be built for 2 or 3 years. So you're being, it's a now or never, but it's now, meaning 3 years from now when you're going to move into it. But you got to, I got to pressure you now and then make you dwell on that decision for the next 3 years.
For 2 years. Oh, man. Exactly. Yeah. Well, the market's rolling.
Yeah. There's, I know to touch on it quickly. I know, Greg, you've been mentioning that keeps to be more and more listings coming on, almost every day or every couple of days. It's just markets being, flooded with listings, which is great because that's what will slow down pricing increase and give people more options and not feel feel so pressured. But, what have you been seeing as far as listings right now? Like, even just popping up on your clients' portals and stuff, are you seeing that a drastic increase? Yeah.
Lots. Last week, what did I say? I said that I think there was 302 listings in overall in the city on Wednesday, Thursday, and today was 270 Wednesday, Thursday. Going into today, I was really surprised actually. A lot of listings came up today. It's the long weekend, but I guess since it's not, it's still kind of pandemic-ish that not everybody's going away as once would be normal on a long weekend. So there's going to be a lot of people out shopping. I guess it was last Saturday, I saw 6 homes with a new buyer. Only one of those properties sold. And the one that we liked, we were going to go back to. Unfortunately, they got an offer today. But my guys, first time out, only seeing 6 properties. You need to see some more before you make a decision. But yeah, there's more out. Even in Beacon Hill, our old stomping grounds, boys, we saw... there's actually 6 or 7 listings right now. One's not holding offers. The other ones have 2 have no conveyance. I think the other ones have preemptives accepted. And the range it's not as astronomical as it was even last week. There's one that dropped the price. So, I was terrified about Beacon Hill for a while because I got people looking there and I was like, man, there's nothing. But now all of a sudden it's changing. So I'm really happy for buyers. I hope it's a sign that prices are stabilizing even more. And here we go. Alexa wanted to bring something for you guys.
Oh, look at that!
Wow! Look at that. Yeah. even Ottawa, even toe rep green.
Even toe rep green. Yeah, there she is. She's really happy for my birthday. Well, she's very excited for it.
Of
today.
course.
I have a couple more things to do, and then I'm free for the day.
And then we did a big video, Dad.
You want me to head into the mood boost?
Let's do it.
Get into the mood boost. Let's do it.
Put me on speaker. I can impress her with my mood boost. They're birthday based.
Yeah,
just in your honor, gone. Greg. Okay,
she's gone.
So here we go. We got four today. You guys probably didn't know this. But Greg used to be a boy trapped in a woman's body. But after 9 long months, he was finally born.
Amazing.
Everyone's face just, oh my God. Number 2. What did the pirate say on his 80th birthday? Aye, matey.
Great.
Good. When Greg was born, he was so surprised that he didn't talk for a year and a half.
I love it. You killed that.
And the last one. A man gives his wife an expensive bottle of wine for her birthday. After a few glasses, the wife blurts out, "I love you." And the husband responds, "Is that you or the wine talking?" Wife says, I'm not done. The husband responds, "Is that you or the wine talking?" And the wife says, "This is me, but I'm talking to the wine."
That was great.
There you go. So, North Brew.
Hold on, Savvy.
North Brew.
North Brew Coffee.
Hit up northbrew.ca. James Rankin, the owner, founder. Great guy. Greg, give us the Coles notes again. What I know North Brew is donating a percentage of their sales.
North Brew Coffee was founded with a strong mission: coffee driving change. As a company, we are passionate about helping those in need and driving change through supporting homeless shelters, food pantries, and other important causes in our community. You can find them at North Brew Coffee, at North Brew Coffee, at northbrewcoffee.ca. And like I said, we said before, I think we'll have James on the show just to talk more about it. He's a great guy.
There you go. 20% off any coffee you want, 20%. We're going to get the mugs in. We're going to get some shirts going. If you want a toe wrap mug,
get that merch.
Yeah, get that merch. For everyone that's new listening, we record every Friday live, 10 o'clock here on Facebook. And then every Tuesday, we release a new episode. So Tuesday morning, 10 o'clock, it's available on every podcast platform, YouTube, etc. We post it on Facebook as well. But worth noting, I know there was some confusion again. Well, not confusion, but people were asking questions. I think a lot of people have watched the breakouts and don't know that the actual full episode exists. So we do every week, we do kind of a short excerpt from the show, 7 or 8 minutes. And then the shows themselves are usually, 30, 35 minutes long. So tune in. Let us know what you think.
Keep it legal, keep it vertical.
Keep it legal, keep it vertical. We got a long weekend. Let's make sure it's nice and long. Let's enjoy ourselves.
Nice and long. All right, boys. Right. Love you.
Mr. Gregory,
everybody. Thank you for watching.
Mr. Gregory, enjoy your birthday with the family.
Thank you.
And weekend.
Thank you.
We love you.
Enjoy that lobster.
I will.
See you guys.
Later.
The Ottawa Real Estate Podcast is brought to you by Referral Mortgages, Blue Panda Realty, and Stephen Hopkins Video. Thanks for tuning in, and please remember to like, comment, share, and most importantly, subscribe. We'd love to hear from you.